Hello and welcome to the Freedom Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kaya, energy healer, psychic channel, and spiritual mentor for women who are ready to ditch the spiritual rulebook, release the pressure and overwhelm, and let go of all that comparison that makes you feel like what you're doing isn't enough. In this podcast, I'm going to share bits of my journey with you, as well as my wisdom and knowledge to show you that spirituality gets to be something that works for you and not something that you work for. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello. So today's episode is going to be hopefully quite juicy. I have a loose plan for where we're going to go with things, but what I really want to speak to is a few of my thoughts around abundance and manifestation of abundance, and money specifically, I know is a big theme for a lot of people right now. I feel like almost all of my clients and people I'm chatting with on Instagram are experiencing themes around money right now. So not to say that it's, money problems. I hate to view things that way. But a lot of people I'm talking with are, wanting to shift their money reality. They're wanting to shift the way that abundance and money are showing up in their life and their relationship with that. And I even posted in my stories a couple weeks back, or maybe a week or so ago, asking like, is this something that's coming up for you too? Like money and abundance. And I had so many votes for people that are like, yes, this is a major theme for me right now. So I think it's a very collective thing. I know in some ways I'm feeling it too. And there's a lot of different, themes and stories and things that are, being released in different layers for me right now. So I really wanted to speak to a couple, like two different topics that kind of go hand in hand, having to do with abundance and money. So I'm just going to dive right in and share the message that's coming through for me. So here we go. So the one thing I see all the time is that when we think of abundance, a lot of people immediately think of money. Like if I'm like, oh, are you wanting to manifest abundance? A lot of people are like, immediately in your mind, you probably think of like financial abundance, money, right? Building wealth, having money come in, income streams, like whatever it is. And I get this because like I'm kind of like that too, where abundance to me, like sometimes I'll think of money firsthand. And I think this is really interesting. Like I think it's really interesting because abundance as a word doesn't really have a link to money more than anything else. Like abundance is just having an overflow of something, right? It's having an overflow of anything. So we can have an abundance of friends and an abundance of I don't know, now I'm thinking abundance of cereal in our house. We can have an abundance of garbage. Like we can have an abundance of anything. And so I find it really interesting when you hear the word abundance that people immediately think about money. And I think it has a lot to do, especially if you are, on Instagram, you're in the coaching space and things like that. Like you follow some people who do like abundance coaching and whatever. A lot of times it's about money, right? Like you'll see people who are like, I'm an abundance coach, and like they talk about money. And so I find it really interesting. And I think it's like, from my point of view, I think that a lot of people, the abundance they desire the most is money. Like the abundance they desire more than anything else is money, right? Like we can, of course, desire like love and friends and attention and whatever else, like an abundance of those things. But oftentimes what we really want is money. And I think too, money is one of those topics, one of those themes where there's just a lot going on. Like there's a lot of stories we have around that specific type of abundance that we don't have around other types of abundance. Like we create all kinds of money stories growing up from our parents, from the world, like everything that we don't really create around other things, right? And in some ways we do. Like we can see links. Like I know a lot of people, a major money story is that you have to work really hard for money. And this can also show up in relationships where it's like you have to work really hard to get someone to like you and to receive love and attention from someone. So in some ways, then these things can, bleed over into other areas. But for a lot of people, I find the most tangled web is around money. And it's just really interesting to observe and to like observe in my own life and to observe in other people's lives. And we place money on this pedestal, right? We place it on this pedestal. And part of this is because we need money to live, right? That's just a way of life. If we are living in like Western society or, and basically anywhere where you exchange money for food or, housing or whatever it is, we need money to live to some degree. We need some amount of money to live, right? To live comfortably and to live and feel that security. Whereas we don't need some other things, right? Like we don't need a romantic partner. Like of course it's really nice and we might thrive having someone in our life, but we don't need them to survive. We could survive without them. So I think that's where things get really interesting around money. And there's so many other layers that come into things around money where, there's like comparison and jealousy, and money dictates your status and it dictates, we can kind of carry an identity based on the amount of money we have or the amount of money we consistently earn. So it's very interesting to look at why money is so different from any other form of abundance. And it's interesting too, because when we're wanting to increase our money, we're wanting to have financial overflow and financial abundance, we often are so focused on the money, right? We're so focused on that specific thing. And I think there's a lot of people who, one of their main goals right now in life, like almost everyone I talk to, and honestly, even myself, like one of the main goals in life is to increase money, is to increase your wealth, is to increase your income ongoing, right? Like obviously I have a business and one of my goals is to build the business, right? And increase my income that way. And I know like that's why a lot of people seek out promotions in their job, right? They want to increase their income. And a lot of people have money goals, right? Like we have goals around buying a house and buying your dream car and buying like a purse that we love, or, going on vacation, going on a trip around the world. And all of this requires money. Well, or someone to gift it to us, but that would require someone to gift us something that costs money. And so a lot of us want money in some way, in some capacity, as one of our major goals. Like if you ask everyone, like, what are your top 3 goals for next year? I bet you every single person, or like 99% of them, will have money of some kind in their top 3 goals, whether it's like a raise at work, making more money in their business, buying a house, like whatever. It'll be related to money and needing more money to have that goal. And so I think that's why we get so fixated on it. We get so fixated on, how can I do this? How can I increase my money? How can I do this? And so we start to, maybe we budget more. Maybe we, put out some more offers in our business. Maybe we ask for a raise at work. Maybe we do whatever. Like we're like, directly focus on the specific goal that we're working on, which is great. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the piece that a lot of people forget to look at is that the energy of financial abundance is the same energy as every other form of abundance. Abundance is a frequency, and regardless of whether or not the abundance is directed towards money or love or friendship or dogs, either way, it's an abundance, right? We're in the frequency of abundance. And so it's really interesting and it's really funny to look at how fixated we get on money and how attached we get to that goal, because attachment's a big piece of this. And then we aren't willing to look at, where are we not allowing the flow of abundance in a different area? And okay, I get it. Like we're not going to allow the flow of abundance of garbage in our house to try and call in more money. Like we want, abundance that we view as more positive. But it's like, where are you not allowing abundance of another form to come into your life because it's the same frequency. And when we're like, blocking, kind of don't like that word, but it paints the picture. When we're blocking abundance in one area, it's not that we're just blocking abundance in that area, we're blocking the frequency of abundance. So when we are like the type of person who maybe is like, I'm going to go hard and get that promotion at work and I don't have time for love and relationships. Like, yes, I desire a life partner, but I don't have time for that right now. I'm not even open to people asking me out on dates because I am just focused on getting this promotion at work. And then you become like this person who's like a workaholic. They're trying so hard. They're so attached to this goal. And like, once I do this, then I can find my partner, and I have to do one thing first and then the other. And like, there's just so much to this where it's like, not only are we overly attached to that goal, which we know that manifestation requires a level of detachment, but we're also so fixated on this one thing that we're actually ignoring other areas of abundance. So we're shutting down the frequency of abundance somewhere, but waiting for it to come in a different door. So we're then wanting to control the flow of abundance, which brings in the conversation of like, surrender and divine timing and divine plan, where, when like something's meant to happen in a certain order and we try to control it happening in a different order. So this would be the example of this person where they're like, first I'm going to get my promotion and then I'm going to find my soulmate. But it's like the universe is like, wait, no, you're going to find your soulmate and they're going to help you get that promotion. What are you doing? Stop shutting down the abundance. Like, but we're so like, I'm right. I'm in control. I know what I'm doing. This makes sense. This is logical, that we're actually not even open to the path of least resistance. We're not open to the path that's going to lead us to the most abundance right now in the fastest way, because we think we know what we're doing. We think we know how to go about doing it. And we're so focused on the one form of abundance that we're closed off to the others that might help us get the other form. So hopefully this makes sense. It makes sense in my head, guys. So really, like, what's interesting is this person in this example could decide like, yeah, like I'm open to this promotion at work. Like I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna like intuitively feel into like, what messages are coming through around this, but I'm also open to a relationship right now. That's another desire of mine. I'm open to the abundance in all areas. And then a relationship might come in, and then, like I said, like in turn, like that person that they are in a relationship with might be like, oh, I have a connection at this place and I'll help you get this promotion or whatever. I don't know. So it's really interesting when we start to become so obsessed with one thing that we are neglecting the flow of abundance in other areas, and in turn, abundance as a frequency in general. And so we continue to struggle in the one area, which is usually money for a lot of people. And we feel like, I'm spinning my wheels. I can't reach this money goal. I can't increase my income. I can't get this promotion. I can't, whatever. And it's like, meanwhile, you're shutting down abundance in all areas. Like, and a main one for this I see is health. Like, we have a lot of control over our health, right? And a lot of people will neglect their health to reach a money goal, right? Like they'll be overworking, not sleeping right, like not eating. And I know this was a big one for me too. And I was like, why isn't my business like thriving and whatever? Meanwhile, I was drinking like no water per day. I was like skipping meals because I was too busy working, and like it just wasn't healthy, right? Like I'd be up late working and, never have me time, never have downtime, never do anything I enjoyed. So it's like, I'm turning down the abundance of health, the abundance of freedom, the abundance of joy in my life, the abundance of like hobbies and pleasure, so that I could try and get the abundance of money. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't make sense. And it's funny because when you're in it, you think it makes sense. But when you start to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, it doesn't make sense, right? And so that's really what I want to drive home in this episode, is that first off, abundance is abundance. And we want to make sure that we are open to all forms of abundance that we're desiring, that we're not picking and choosing which comes first, that we're being open to the divine plan and divine timing, and, surrendering and trusting that it's all working out for us at all times. and that we're able to detach. We're able to detach. And in this, then manifestation is going to be so much easier. We're going to experience so much more abundance this way. If we're allowing it to flow in through wherever the path of least resistance is, instead of trying to make it flow through what we want it to flow through at all times. So hopefully this lands for you. Hopefully this was like a little kick in the butt you needed. Hopefully you had some aha moments here where you're like, oh wait, I'm actually doing some of this stuff. And if you love this conversation, then I would love to invite you into a 2-week program, or I keep not wanting to say program, I want to say experience. It's going to be like a 2-week experience that I'm going to be running in January to kick off the year 8 in numerology, which is abundance, abundance, abundance. And it's going to be a 2-week abundance activation. It's going to be drops like this, but more direct and more potent, kind of like podcast episodes where I'm just going to be chatting about something in a very direct and activating way. And there's going to be a Q&A opportunity where it'll be anonymous. You can ask me your questions and receive support directly from me. There's also going to be a Telegram group where we'll have chats, and you can have support and sharing community and everything like that in between. And you'll also receive some tools that will help you to manifest abundance for 2024 and really tap into that numerology year 8. And yeah, it's going to be a really good experience. We already have some women who have jumped inside far before this episode airs. I'm recording this a little bit early. So if you are wanting to join us for the 2-week experience, abundance activation, then I would love to have you inside. We would love to share this with you. So I will drop the link in the show notes for you to join. And just keep your eyes out, because we're going to be releasing some more details as the launch goes on. And yeah, it's just, all I can say is the energy of this container is just going to be like a vortex for abundance. I just feel it's going to be super activating. You are going to want to go back and listen to the audios, the teachings multiple times throughout the year, because there will always be something more in there for you. These are some of the major codes, like the major teachings and perspective shifts that have really shifted abundance for me and allowed me to build a business that is really supportive, always in overflow, always expanding and growing. It's allowed me to shift my money story from not even being able to afford a $2 coffee and being so in debt to now, just having overflow, having multiple, I'm trying to count how many figures. I don't want to share how much I have in my savings account, but it's quite a little bit in my savings. And just being able to be in that place feels so good. And it was all because I was able to shift my relationship with abundance and with money. So I can't wait to share all of these activations with you. And like I said, I'll drop that link in the show notes for you. And I would love to hear if anything was activating you from this episode. You can always send me a message. You can leave a review and help me get my word out there further. Help me to share my vision and my mission. And just thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. And I will catch you on the next one.